In this video, I'm going to share the importance of UX research through this CitiCorp Center story. UX research is major part of the user experience design. User experience is the overall experience of a person using a product or service on any channel. It could be digital or non-digital, especially in terms of how easy or pleasing it is to use. At the same time, the user experience of the person can be good or bad, depending upon what the user went through with the product or service. To create a good experience, you need to learn about the user's needs, their behaviors, what they do, why they do, how they do, and more. To learn these, you should do UX researches applying various methods, which could be qualitative or quantitative in nature. And UX research is not an one-time activity which you conduct before building a product or service. It is an ongoing activity. In this video, we are going to learn the importance of UX research through this CitiCorp story, the forgotten CitiCorp Center story. What is this CitiCorp Center story? Stay silent, commit suicide, or tell others of the problem. These are the choices the chief structural engineer, William Mesurier, had when he got the news that there is some problem with this building structure before it got completed. This is in July 26, 1977. So what was the problem? This CitiCorp Center story, right, which is 59-story building and 7th tallest building in the world at that point in time. Okay. Where, as you see in the illustration, how it is built, the sketch as well as the frame of it and the final building, what you see. Okay. As you see in the bottom, where you have a long pillar after which the floor gets started. So this is called as stills. So out of these 59 stories, the initial 9 of the stories are made out of stills. It's after that the floors start. So these, due to this, innovative building structure, it was kind of vulnerable to the quartering winds, it seems. So what is this quartering winds? As you see in this illustration, you have horizontal wind hitting the building, and then you have vertical winds hitting the building. And when the wind hits the building in 45-degree angles, it's called as quartering winds. So this building was vulnerable to quartering winds. And it was said that there was about 1 in 16 chances that it would collapse due to high winds. What is 1 in 16 chance? New York has a lot of storms and hurricanes coming, in every year. And one of the strongest storms, actually, which, if that's the kind of a speed which the wind blows, there is a possibility that this building could collapse. So, and how did they discover this, right? I'm sure with such a huge building being built, a lot of research would have gone as well in the early stages before this was being built. So the problem was in fact discovered not by the engineers, but by one of the PhD students who was researching this innovative building, which is being built in right there in the center of the city. So she, as a PhD in thesis, when she was doing a lot of analysis and study of the innovative way that the structures was built and the frame through which it was erected, she found there are some calculation issues which didn't match, and which she found due to which there could be some vulnerability in the building's strength of the pillars and stuff. And then she went and met up with the junior engineer of the building, and then she shared her thesis study. And this junior engineer dismissed initially, saying, those things are not possible. We have a lot of research work and analysis has gone into it. But anyway, he still took it to the senior engineer, and where he dismissed, but just for the sake of it, they themselves as a team worked together and then found out that there is some issues is there. And when finally it was brought to this chief engineer, William. And when Mr. William went through that same details, and finally he found that there is some issues with the structure of it. And when he has to face the hard facts, where soon it was supposed to be inaugurated, and these were the choices what we had, after the disastrous information when it came to him, which is stay silent, commit suicide, or tell others of the problem. Him being ethical and doing the right thing all the time, so he brought this to the management. Finally, the building which was to be completed in 1977 and reportedly had costed an estimated 195 million, okay, which they couldn't launch because of this reason. But what was the reason because of which they couldn't identify this issue? The reason came out to be that the building, as you see, it is made out of innovative structure of chevron, where you see chevron shaped pillars, beams, which was welded together in this innovative building, where the joints of all these beams were welded. As per the initial plan, it was to be welded, and it uh, uh, at that point in time, a vendor came into the picture, and where he shared an idea of using nuts and bolts instead of this welding, which would save them around $250,000, which is quite a huge amount, and also probably it would be faster as well using nuts and bolts. So they switched to that option, and thereby they used the nuts and bolts, and because of which the strength of the entire structure and those beams were compromised. So finally, what they have to do is that they have to go back and re-weld all those joints. Ultimately, which resulted in 4 months delay, additional time it took, 50 plus technicians working day and night, and additional cost of $10 million. So they tried to save $250,000. Finally, they end up paying $10 million on top of that 4 more months and a lot more time passed by, right? Through this CitiCorp Center story, what do we learn in our UX research is that there is a thorough research is required end to end of throughout the product development. And you need to test early in prototype stage itself, so that after finally built, if there's any issues, you cannot go back and it becomes so expensive to do that. And do not compromise for cheaper alternate solutions without studying its consequences. So every now and then we take decisions without knowing what are the consequences. So that would later on would come back to be a bigger hurdle, and where sometimes I've seen the entire project collapse because of the issues which they faced later on after the launch. And do not apply standard set of processes and procedures for all requirements. So directly translating this to the UX research for the product and service that's being built today. If you see, UX research is not a final coat of paint, or even user-centered design. It's not a final coat of paint which you apply to the final product. User-centered design and user experience design, you need to involve the UX team and activities to be started much earlier, from the early part of the project, and throughout the project you would need. And it's not a one-time activity too. You may have to use it now and then. Actually, initially in the early stage, ensure you have the activities incorporated as part of the project plan. If you don't do that, you'll be compromising on many other things. And again, if it is going to be a new product, where you need to have a user research and stakeholder research, and see, every feature, every functionality that is there has to be mapped to the requirement where it came from. It could be a problem a user has faced, or is to solve a particular issue, and it could be coming out from the customer care department. So we need to map them up and ensure those research, whatever is captured, is once a product is built or during the product is being built, ensure those things are meeting those requirements and ensure the user is able to overcome those challenges what was identified initially. So you need to do a usability testing along the way in the early stage of the product itself. And then later on, once the product is done, you have to ensure whether it meets the requirement and also the user is able to use it. So ensure UX research is incorporated in every product and services product that's being developed, and ensure the activities are something which you account early in, and also make sure those are part of the plan as well, so that you don't compromise and end up losing a lot more time and effort and money in later on. I hope I made sense, and if you have any comments and thoughts on it, do share your thoughts below. Thank you.